to show you guys something that we'll want to all configure for our next game. It's a new module I think that a few of you are going to really like. And the cool thing is it's an optional one, so if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. If you do like it, you certainly can. So I'm actually logged in right now as Ryan, as his Severius character. You can see my floating cursor here because the GM client's in the background, but right now I'm actually logged in as Ryan. Because I want to show you kind of what this module looks like. So it's a brand new heads-up display that mimics a video game UI to a degree. It's actually based on the Solasta Crown of the Magister UI. And what it lets you do is see your actions, bonus actions, reactions, special features, and etc. without having to open up your character sheet or just rely on what you've got down here in your attack bar. What you want to do next time you log in is you're going to go into the config settings. You're going to have a brand new section here for Argon Combat HUD. You're going to extend that. You're going to have a bunch of options in here. You can choose to scale the size of the HUD. You can change how close it aligns to the bottom left-hand corner. But you're going to make sure you have all these things checked except for the fade out, unless you want it to fade out when it's not in use. I have found my personal settings. I like to set this to about a 0.95. I like to set this guy to a 0.75. But again, you can kind of play with this on your own. Leave it to don't check off, don't auto scale. Otherwise it gets massive. But you want to hide the macro bar and player list. Make sure that is checked. Sometimes you have to check and uncheck it for it to work correctly. Otherwise these pieces down here in the bottom left, the player config macro button and your hotbar won't disappear here, which you'll see what I mean by that in a second. Set it to player details on bottom, set it to prepared spells only, show your tooltips for special actions, abilities, skills, and tools. And we'll walk through all of this a little bit when we get back together. We'll go ahead and save it. You're going to want to hit F5 to make sure that the changes get implemented. Foundry will reload for you. You'll be back front and center. It doesn't look like anything changed. That's because the module itself to be used does have a toggle. So you can find it in two places. So I'm currently highlighting Severius' character, but you notice up here in the basic controls, we have a brand new set of crossed swords, which will allow you to target the HUD, or you can right click on your character and you'll have an option here to toggle the HUD. Turning that on gives you a whole new bunch of stuff down here at the bottom. So you'll notice that behind it, your macro bar, the player configuration, all of that disappeared and is now replaced with this HUD. And again, this mimics what is in that Solasta video game. It's a 5th edition game. I've actually played it. It's very, very good if you like CRPGs. But one of the things I love about it is how clean the UI is. And here's an example of where they have pulled that CSS out of the game and are using it here in Foundry. So you see a couple different things here kind of right off the bat. So you'll notice it breaks up. You've got some character info. Then you've got your main actions in combat, your bonus actions, your free actions, and your reactions. And this will change depending upon what you have equipped, what you have prepared. So what gear have you equipped? What spells have you prepared? A couple things you'll notice over here on the left-hand side will start. It's got your running hit points, your armor class, your spell difficulty, how many total squares you can currently move on the map. This will actually read the size of the squares. Our squares are each 5 feet. So Severius here can move up to 30 feet. We're seeing he can move up to 6 squares, right? Up here we have armor sets, or gear sets is what I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Severius's character sheet. And you'll see that right now, little dot right here shows me that I currently have his Skull Mace of Merkel and his Shield Master Shove set up. Let's say if I click on this and it switches over, you'll notice that now his spear is equipped and the opportunity attack and main attack have changed over to spear. If I change back over, we now see he's got the Skull Mace as his main attack. His Shield Master Shove is his bonus action. The Skull Mace is also over here for his opportunity attack if he needs it. So it's an easy way to switch back and forth. Like he could go over to unarmed attacks, and to change these, you just drag stuff down. So let's say he wanted to have his shield here with his spear. If he goes into his inventory, take his shield, drag it down. So now you'll see It's just his spear. But you could also add in features. So, for example, his Shield Master Shove, he could drag that down to different places. If you want to get rid of anything from a set, you just pull it off. You'll see this turns to a garbage can and drop it. So it's easy to add and remove items to these sets and then switch over to them quickly. You also have a new dice button that's right here. This will let you roll initiative. So rather than having to jump up to the encounter tracker and roll it when it's here, you can literally just click on that button and it'll push it through to the encounter tracker. You have another button here that lets you open up your character sheet real quick. You also have a minimize button that will hide the whole thing down here at the bottom and just give you access to your armor sets and then some saves and tools and skill checks. This is also a pop-up. I hit it. Here's all of Severius' skills. Pretty cool. It even gives you a tooltip explaining what it is and what it can be used for. You click on it. It's going to go ahead and roll it for you. This also works with the Alt and Control keys. So when I hold Alt and I click on Strength, it's going to roll it with advantage. If I hold Control and click on it, it's going to roll it with disadvantage. So all of that same stuff works here. It'll show you your checks and plus and minuses and base scores and all that kind of fun stuff. And again, you can mouse over those and it gives you the tooltips telling you what they are. So all of your skills are right there. And then we get down here into the combat actions. So you do have your Silvered Skull Mace. You could click on that and use that to attack. You also have all of the other actions in combat. So you guys may remember, you look at your party notes. We do have a combat primer in here that shows you all of the different things that you can do on your turn. Many of those are listed down here for you. So he could choose to disengage or dodge. He could choose to hide, shove, dash, ready an action. He can use items. And if you click on that, it shows you what you've got in inventory. So he's got his Potion of Fire Breath, his Greater Healing. Let's say he wants to use one of his features. Well, here are the features that are available to him as a main action. His Divine Sense, and you'll notice it gives you counts in terms of what you've got available. You can also cast spells. And you can see he's got his cantrips, his first level, and his second level spells, with the spell counters underneath showing you how many you have ready and available to go. Now, this is not all of Severius' spells. If you look at his spell book, he's got a lot of stuff. What this is set to is to only show you what you currently have prepared. So every time you take a long rest, you can change what spells you have prepared. We just do that on D&D Beyond, and I import them in. But in addition to only showing you what's prepared, is that it breaks it up based on whether it is an action, a bonus action, or a reaction or free action. So these are the spells that you have available as a main action. But you notice over here under bonus, he has additional spells that can be used as bonus actions on a turn. He also has features that are bonus actions. He has free bonus actions as a paladin. He has reactions as a paladin. So it kind of is it's a way to show what the three different things are that you get every turn, right? So you get an action, a bonus action, and a reaction. Some classes get free actions. It just kind of breaks it up into a way that makes sense as you're using it in combat. So you can kind of see what those things are. And again, when you're using it, you can keep it open. But if you want, you can always minimize it to see more of the screen. The game clock is still running back there in the background, so you can see that as well. Otherwise, it covers it up. And again, you can just turn the HUD off. You can click the button. Your other pieces will come back. You can also right-click and choose to turn it on and off there. So you have multiple ways of getting into it. I just think it's a really cool way to set it up and have a very easy to use HUD that shows you all of the different things that you can do, rather than having to constantly jump back over to your character sheet. Now, some of these things are not quite perfect because this is a brand new module. What we will find is that certain things, like, for example, the sneak attack for Moon isn't showing up as a reaction or a free action the way that it should. So I simply dragged it down and added it as one of his skill sets. So he has his new magical rapier and I think a dagger set up as his main ones, but then he also has a sneak attack. And all it is to use it is just clicking on that button. It'll switch over and then you can roll that. So for example, if I were to come over here into my DM side and drag out, let's give Severius a buddy he can play with here. So if Severius were to come down and get into combat, all right, he can just go ahead and roll right from there. You'll see up here, he's rolled his. Go ahead and roll for the bearded devil. Go ahead and begin combat. I'm actually going to skip it from there and just let Severius go. He can target and then just begin to click on the buttons down here. He uses stuff. So there's a miss with the skull mace. Let's say he tried to do a shove with his shield master shove. Let's say he wants to roll. That's usually it's athletics versus strength. So he's going to roll that. Our bearded devil's going to roll that. And in that case, that shove wouldn't work. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to kind of come in and begin casting spells. It will, again, give you that pop-up to consume spell slots, all that same kind of fun stuff that you saw before. I'll turn it off so it doesn't use it. And we can see that it looks like that Bane hit. It's been applied. The active effects are on it. So in all the normal like combat in and out stuff that we've had will work. Where things get a little bit weird, and again, it is kind of brand new here. We go ahead and end combat, get us out of it. Go ahead and get rid of our little bearded devil friend there. Where things get a little bit weird is with the bars in the background. So what I have found is that sometimes those hot bars kind of pop up again and hide behind it. It only seems to be impacting the player screen. It doesn't seem to be impacting the GM client. So I've actually reported the issue back to the original dev. Usually doing an F5 will fix it. I don't know if turning it on and off fixes it or not, but so again, it's brand new. It still is in development. There are still some things that may be a little bit buggy, but I just thought it was really cool to be able to kind of see how all of the effects and features and attacks work through combat by having it broken out into a UI like that. Yeah, it's installed. I'll keep updating it and making sure that it's working as best as it can. You guys are going to want to configure it and add your abilities and stuff like that to it. So we'll take a little bit of time at the beginning of the next game and see if folks like it. And again, it's up to you if you want to use it. You can toggle it on and off. But hopefully it'll help some folks to kind of organize and think about how they move through combat with the different actions. I think it's a great mod. I also love the fact that it blows things up and it's a good size, so it makes it a little bit easier to see what you've got. And again, you can scale it through those settings. I've actually shrunk it down here a little bit, but you can blow it back up. If you don't auto scale, it's going to basically fill the entire bottom part of your screen. You can even the tooltips can be resized. So it's pretty cool. The guy that developed it was doing it to help new players kind of understand the main pieces of combat and what they can do. I want to support him. I think it's pretty cool. So that's that. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.